Hi, everyone, and welcome to Identity Insights by Indicio. This is a show dedicated to bringing you the latest news and education in the digital identity community. Today, I'm joined by James Ebert to talk about the Aries Bifold project. Thanks so much for making time for us today, James. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, happy to be joining. I'm the mobile team lead here at Indicio. I've been working here since pretty close to the beginning of Indicio. And I head up the Bifold project. I'm a co-chair and maintainer over there. I'm also maintainer on the Aries Framework JavaScript project and heavily involved in everything Aries.
All right, very cool. So what is the Bifold project in particular? Like, what does it do?
So the Bifold project is a open source project for building SSI applications in React Native, whether that is by white labeling the application or by incorporating into an existing React Native applications.
All right. So what kind of applications, like what use cases would you use it for?
SSI has a lot of potential use cases that are really powerful. So one of the ones that we were involved with was with CETA and Aruba doing a travel health case use case where you would have a COVID credential, be able to enter the country and such. There are lots of other use cases that are pertinent and or powerful. One of the things that the project was built to do was to help center the community into one project. Because when we started the project, or right before the project was started, I had noticed that there was multiple efforts working on writing a mobile SSI agent in React Native, like multiple efforts duplicating work and in ways that wouldn't necessarily be compatible with each other. So part of the thought process was to combine our efforts into one and reduce the overall load for everybody.
All right, makes sense. Bring everyone together. So is there anything particularly special about working in React Native or with Aries for this project, or is that just the easiest way to do it?
One of the reasons why we chose React Native was because it's very popular and it is the easiest for us to get things moving. So rather than having to write a separate library and project for Android and then iOS, doing React Native allows us to do both at the same time. So that makes it easier for us to move faster and also get faster and larger, more adoption within the industry.
All right, very cool. So what are some of the current goals of the project? What have you guys been working on recently?
So one of the recent things that we've been doing is been working towards the modularity of the project. Specifically, what has been done is to make it a more of a framework. So the thought process here is that so far it's been an application that uses Aries Framework JavaScript under the hood and Indy SDK. And what we're working towards is breaking this out so that you can use just the chunks you need, which is going to make it easier to use within existing applications. Because right now it's in a really good place for being able to take it, white label it, and use it, which is great for POCs and demos. And even if you want to, like you're doing a fresh application, but if you have an existing application, that makes it a little more challenging to use out of the box. So that's one of the things we're working towards right now. And we have a couple of other technical things that we're working towards, like one of the ones that I've been really interested in is solving some issues we've had around doing deep linking in a open source manner, and then Indy shared components. And I can talk about more of that if you're interested, but there's a couple of things that we're working on that side of things.
All right, it's cool. right, you mentioned white labeling it and using it for all these things. How would one go about starting to use the Aries Bifold project? Could you just show up to group meetings? Is there something you download? Like how do you get started working with the project?
My first recommendation is go to the Aries Bifold repo, and can follow the README instructions there and go through the process. And then we have a Discord channel on Hyperledger's Discord that you can ask questions and get troubleshooting from the maintainers. And then, as you mentioned, attending the actual user group meetings, which are held bi-weekly, is a really good way to see where the project's at, ask questions, and get involved. So I highly recommend those for getting started with the project.
All right, very cool. Is there anything that sets this particular project apart from other projects as opposed to just bringing everyone together? Like what specifically would you say, like, if you are looking to do this with your decentralization project, you should come here? Is there anything like that for the Aries Bifold project?
Well, so I think I said it earlier, but the community is actually, I think, one of the big things here, because we've seen other projects that have not had enough of a group around it, which means that they're not necessarily maintained, nor are moving as fast as we are. And so I think that's a really key thing. So for instance, one of the things, going back to the goals that we're working on, is getting to the Aries interop profile 2.0. This is the standard of, if you're interoperable with this profile and another agent is as well, then you should be able to talk to each other. And so that's really key. And that's not something necessarily other systems, libraries, frameworks are necessarily there yet from the mobile perspective. Then I also think that, as far as I know, this is the only Aries, or the furthest along Aries SSI agent in React Native. So if you have a language specific reason that if you're in React Native, this is going to be your best option.
All right, very cool. How active would you say is the community? Like, how often are you guys meeting? How many people are working on this kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm. We meet bi-weekly, and the Bifold channel on Discord is actually fairly active. Right now, there's some individual contributors, but there's also some major organization contributors. So in DCO is a contributor, and then British Columbia, so BC Gov, is one of the other major contributors. And then a couple of the other provinces of Canada are also involved in the project. And there's a couple of other parties, other organizations that are involved. So there's a decent amount of following, and I keep having conversations of like, hey, we're on this thing, we want to switch to Bifold. What does that look like? And trying to help them through that process. And I think it's exciting to see the momentum that we're gaining and where we're going.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that sounds super exciting. Is there any goals for through the end of the year? Anything that you guys want to implement, or?
I need to, from my perspective, I need to flesh out more of the roadmap. That's one of the things that I need to do. But I think that from a high level, we want to be that target of the AIPv2, the Aries Interop Profile version 2, to break that acronym up. And the Aries Framework JavaScript project, which we rely on, is also working towards JSON-LD credentials with BBS Plus. So rather than just having Indy credentials, also being able to exchange JSON-LD credentials. I think that's something else that we're going to be working towards and will be fairly exciting. So.
All right, that sounds super cool. Being able to use it for more use cases, always a good thing. Unfortunately, it does look like we are just about out of time, James. So I do appreciate you joining me and giving us just a little bit of a taste of the Aries Bifold project. If you want to learn a bit more about the project, we'll have a link to their group meetings down below, and you can visit and learn a little bit more and get involved in the community. If there are any questions or topics you'd like to learn a bit more about, please just leave a comment below. We'll be sure to check and get back to you. Thanks again, James. Is there anything that you'd like to plug before we go?
Yeah, would love to have additional contributors on the project. Would be open to answering questions. And then I also just want to mention that I'm hiring. So if you have experience in React Native or TypeScript, we're looking for experienced individuals to come join our team and help change the world of identity. So